I'm Stacie.
Hey, I'm Patrick McDowell. I'm one of the Helsinki Fashion Week designers.
And I'm one of the 3D designers in Helsinki Fashion Week.
And we worked together on a collaborative look for the upcoming show, Catholic Fairy Tales.
It was really great, and Patrick's background really summarizes my experience working on this. Oh, it's amazing.
So, here in Vatican City, with my good friend the Pope to talk about the collection. But no, we thought we'd talk to you today about how it was working together and how, as you know, you have a digital background and I have a very analog background. So yeah, it's been a really interesting experience, I think, because I think a lot of people don't necessarily, when I've been saying digital collection to people, I think they've been thinking that I'm talking about a video of real clothes or some kind of real clothing that's then been made on a computer. But obviously, as you know, this is completely made within the computer, which is really a different thing, isn't it? Like very digitized completely. But I think it's good to make that point because from people I've spoken to, they kind of thought it's a video of things that have already been created physically.
Yeah, I had a similar experience with my friends who are not 3D artists and who don't really know much about how it works. They actually thought, oh, am I going to run into you at the fabric shop in the neighborhood looking at the different silks? I'm like, no, I will be in the fabric shop on Google in the comfort of my own studio. Okay. So it was really interesting to kind of hear what people thought this would be like. But it was a really nice experience. I guess I'll talk a little bit about my background, and then Patrick, maybe you want to talk about yourself a bit. But so in terms of actual physical fashion, that's not something that I really ever touch. Like I make things virtually. I do virtual garments and styling and 3D animation. But when it comes to actually sewing, I've only really taken one class in high school. So it's kind of another world for me. And I have a very different understanding of how a garment is going to sit on you, on your avatar, and how it's going to move. So something you have to think about when you're making this in 3D is, okay, like, am I going to be able to sculpt the shape afterwards? Okay, how do I make the sleeve not fall off her arm when she moves? By she, I mean, whatever, default avatar. I'm like, oh, maybe I'll just pin this into the person's shoulder, which you cannot do in real life. That much I know. So it was really kind of cool seeing, and Patrick's idea was so great. It was so maximal. I really, really loved it. And just being able to make this on 3D, like I really don't know how much a garment like this would actually cost in real life. Do you have any idea?
Thousands.
At
Thousands.
least.
Yeah.
But it was so great to just kind of, load it up with crystals. I won't reveal too much. I guess it hasn't really been released yet. So I'm just going to give you some hints. It's very expensive. So we decided to just sort of go all out and, because we can. So that was a really awesome experience.
Yeah. And it was, I think why not? We live in a world that's often confined by what you can afford to do or what you are allowed to wear in certain places, etc. Or in this case, how much fabric you can physically carry around on your body.
That's so true. I don't know if anyone could physically carry something so heavy.
But I found that incredible because it was the first time ever where, all of those limitations that are attached to normal, the normal, not normal, but the physical creation of clothes are all limited in lots of different ways. And obviously there's limitations with digital too, but in a way the only limitation is that you can't actually hold it. But
Yes, that's
yeah,
true.
I mean, I think everything that I designed for this really pushed the computer capacities of everyone involved, which uh, but yeah, it was just really exciting because, like, coming from a different background, working physically, it's always the case of like, and I always work with reclaimed fabrics as well, so kind of the fabrics are limited. That's the limitation initially, and you can't always get as much of it as you want, or you can't have the exact color that you want. So um, this was great in that sense, because being able to choose the exact shade of pink and the exact fabric file that I wanted is really rare for me, because usually I just have to work with what I've got. Um, so yeah, that was really interesting. And then it was quite fascinating kind of learning the different terms and things, because obviously there's certain like jargon that we use in fashion, and I think it's quite similar for like digital clothing. So like texture kept getting said a lot, right, which we never really use. And I think fabrics are referred to as files, right, instead of
Yes, it's a whole preset, it's
yeah.
not just a fabric. It's bump maps, normal maps, opacity, everything. Like,
And I think because I use a lot of upcycled Swarovski crystals. So for this, we were kind of Swarovski inspired and created some digital ones. Um, and that was super fascinating, like kind of finding that it was light settings that created sparkle, which again is really interesting. And it kind of makes you rethink how you would approach designing in real life, because obviously there's a huge process usually involved that is quite wasteful for fashion. And I think this is a great way of kind of trialing everything before you went into, you know, uh, a, a 3D, before you went into a 3D physical thing, you could do it 3D digital. But I've been really interested as well recently, kind of looking at like these games that my little brother's playing, and kind of noticing on them how detailed the clothing is, and how kind of far ahead the gaming world is compared to like fashion, the wider fashion industry. I think has been quite slow to pick up on this. I
well,
don't know if you.
this is a great start, really.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was really nice to see you basically have a chance to experiment, probably more than you would with actual fabrics. Let's say we were experimenting with different shapes and even the way that we would place the crystals. And I assume if you actually beaded your garment and then decided to switch it up, it would take you more than, half an hour to just redo everything. So,
I know that was the thing I really found the most fascinating, because hand embroidery takes like it takes days and weeks, not hours. Uh, and it was really odd to kind of see something that was embellished so fast, because
yeah, it's really amazing.
yeah, it was crazy, because usually even if you use the ones like the ones I'm wearing now, they're
You
all kind of like they're all kind of because these are the iron-on ones, but even they take a while. So
I would
yeah,
imagine.
I, that was definitely really amazing. And also
Yeah.
that thing of changing even the silhouette, because if you've already cut out all the fabric, for one thing, it's quite a long process, but then also you've cut the fabric, so it's done, you know.
It's true, but it's funny the different challenges between actually making a garment in real life and making the garment in 3D. Like the challenges come from something that maybe you wouldn't expect, such as, oh, how come when I move this piece close to the neck, the program crashes? Or how do I make the sleeve like not poke through the shoulder? Just really sort of simulation aspects of the project that you wouldn't really ever even face in like the actual real world where you're making clothes. And I think we really pulled this through, and I love our look, but we did have a bit of technical difficulties on our way because we really wanted to like push our outfit and just add so much detail to it that unfortunately my computer didn't wasn't able to run fast enough for me to put some pieces together. So we had a little help in that department, but it's really the sort of issues that you would never expect you'd run into.
Yeah.
So that was a nice twist.
Because I guess in a way it was three separate kind of garments, really. Or three
Yes, so
kind of,
exactly. So yeah, and
yeah.
they had to sort of just be combine it, just put over one torso. Even something like, can you just put the scarf over this person's neck? Like, apparently not. No, not without my computer exploding. So
Yeah.
give me a minute.
I actually did find that quite interesting as well, because it's almost like I'm sure this will change as well with computer power and things growing and all that. But it's almost like the programs have been created to only design things that actually kind of exist already, and
Yes, I
like,
think so.
kind of quite not tiny but small silhouettes that stay fairly close to the body, and I just think there's so much potential with what you could do with these things. I found that really interesting, that the program can't really cope with it being too, it's too outrageous.
The complexity, it's like not being able to afford something, like, oh, can I afford this really expensive silk, or can I afford to add more fabric without the program
Yeah,
crashing? So it's a
yeah,
little bit like that, I guess. Yeah,
yeah,
but
yeah.
it's really amazing. Yeah.
But it was
um,
really interesting,
mhm.
and I
And
think
I really
oh no, I was just gonna say it's great as well, because with the like I think it's like the click of a button, you can kind of see different fabric options, which a lot of the time, again, you'd have to kind of remake the whole garment, and that's a lot of the time what goes on in fabric houses, because you kind of want to see how it falls if it's silk, how it falls if it's cotton, and obviously you can imagine, but seeing it in real life, you know what I mean, seeing it on the screen kind of flick between
in real
different
life on the screen.
in real life on the screen, but just seeing it flick between and being able to kind of just see how those fabrics are altered would be really interesting. But there was just one other thing as well, which I found interesting about the program, is how, in a bid to like make it realistic, the effects of gravity um, are like functioning within the program, right? So like if you press go or whatever you do, and then if it's not put properly, it kind of drops down. I think I
Yes.
found that really interesting, because almost in a way I wish there was like a gravity off button, so you could just see what it would look like if everything floated, because I think it's like it's like instilling these restrictions that are in the real world, which I kind of wish just weren't there. And I kept thinking, like, God, I wish that there was like this gravity button you could just turn off and just see what it looks like if it kind of went into space.
That would be great. I would love that. Yeah, just sort of like the upside down clothing look.
Yeah,
Yeah. And I really love the idea of the garment that we created. It was, yeah, if you maybe want to talk about like the collaboration aspect of our garment. So when I first just heard the idea, I loved it. It was just so over the top, and it's truly a Catholic fairy tale. Like that is the best way to describe it. And I was always really fascinated with the sort of the aesthetics of a Catholic church. Like everything is so ornate, everything's so detailed. It just looks so expensive. So
it
it's
is
such
expensive.
I'm sure, yeah. They don't mess around. So, if you're going to do like a Pope gown, then you got to go all the way. You need like the best crystal you can get. You need the most expensive silk. And I just really love that that's where, like, the direction that we took with it.
Yeah, definitely, because it's quite interesting, really, because the Catholic, especially the Vatican City's kind of robes and things, are made with basically all the same traits that like haute couture is made of. So like the pinnacle of clothing is very much the same. It's the same process in how they make things with um, in the Vatican. So it really is kind of like the best sewing in the world, the best fabrics in the world, like the finest handcrafted leather pumps for the Pope. Like all these things are, I mean, if you look at the Swiss Guard, which is the Vatican's kind of army, their outfits are so kind of outrageous and ridiculous, and you think, wow, like it's the best dressed army in the world, I think. So it's really, but I just think it's so interesting, those comparisons. And then, so basically, for anyone that hasn't seen yet, the idea of the collection is that it's based around me being brought up as a Catholic, and the relationship that someone who's gay has to the church and how the church can make you feel. So the idea behind this show was really to be like kind of making a religion that celebrates queer people, basically, and flipping, giving back those people that were told they were wrong their whole lives if they were at church. And for whatever other reason, it's just meant to be this kind of amazing set of robes that queer people can have as their religious wear.
I love it. I really love that so much. And that's such an amazing direction too. Like it felt very queer. We used a lot of hot pink. Like it was very luxury all the way. And it was also, I had a personal connection to this project as well because I went to a Catholic school for several years, even though my family and I, like, we don't really know anything about Catholicism because I'm Eastern European and we have a Greek Orthodox background. So sort of being the only non-Catholic girl in a Catholic school with everyone giving you a weird look when you say you've never been to a confession or having to attend mass because that's what all the other students do, and sort of seeing the way people interact and seeing all the ceremonies and the ritualistic practices and not really understanding what's going on, but it just feels so larger than life. And which is why I have this almost kind of alien look at Catholicism from this point of like being a kid and just trying to take it all in and not really knowing what's going on, but being like, wow, there's like gold everywhere and sculptures and it's so fancy.
Yeah.
Why don't I know about this? Yeah, but
I know. I think it's one of those. It's one of those many things. I think that if it wasn't kind of like societal norm, it does have so many strange qualities to it that you kind of, all these people kind of, because there are not many other Christian religions do this, but the Catholic Church kind of has a lot of kneeling down and sitting and standing. So there's a lot of and then there's the chanting and the singing, and then there's this person. I mean, if it was in any other setting, you'd be arrested as like some kind of like weird cult.
Yeah, very much, but like a really beautiful, expensive cult. So it's great for that reason, but yeah.
I mean, I think it's fascinating, and I think you've seen the Pope hat that we did, the tiara.
Yes.
Now we've made it as a filter which you can try on Instagram. But the really crazy thing about that is that I didn't actually make that up. That the papal tiara was a thing for hundreds of years. It's just they stopped in the 1950s because they thought it was too like ostentatious, I guess. But it's so phallic.
It really is.
It's so phallic. Like it's crazy how and then also that kind of outrageousness of like the Pope having their own tiara. Crazy. Isn't the point of being a priest that you kind of give up all of your like worldly possessions, but then each Pope got a new tiara made for them? And I just
it's so.
I think there's so many contradictions in, but then also kind of the secrecy of it all fascinates me because the Vatican is obviously its own country and it has its own bank. So there's a lot of things that other people would have to kind of register with certain governments, which they don't because they have their own. And then obviously when you're a religion, you don't pay any tax. And you're registered as a
money on crystals, yeah,
honestly. So I just think there's so many kind of, and there's all those kind of stories about what's hidden in the Vatican archives and in the vaults and stuff. And I just I'd love in like some like dystopian future to be like the last person in the Vatican and being able to like find out all of the secrets finally.
The juicy secrets. Oh, I love that so much. Yeah, I love all the sort of conspiracies about what's in those secret scrolls and the Vatican. And I really love, I mean, it's also so rich in symbology, like all the different, like the symbols that you don't really think about. Like it just looks like a cross, but then you find out like the particular origin of like each particular cross. And it's just so, it's like a never ending maze, really.
Yeah, definitely. I guess because it's so old, it just has this so many kind of layers to it. But I think it would be really amazing to take like the cape that we did if we made it in real life, to take it there and take a photograph.
Oh, I wish. Goals.
I think I'd be like expelled from the church for if I have already been.
Oh my God. Yeah. Well, I heard, during quarantine, there's not too many people outside there. So this is a great time to do a photo shoot without, a religious twist in the background.
I'm actually in Italy right now, so maybe I should go.
Hey, here's your chance, now or never.
My chance to go, definitely. And wow. Was there anything else that should we talk about with the digital? Whether I suppose also in some ways that kind of gravity thing will be interesting to see when we see the clothes moving, because that's kind of something I think we all kind of haven't. It would be interesting to see how they move in terms of walking, because things are quite long and
heavy
and heavy. Yeah.
Very almost balloon-like. And yeah, it was also funny when we were trying to figure out how to make the cape kind of stand out more. And you suggested that we make the sort of a cage to go underneath, but really it's just a click of a button, really, and then it sort of just poofs out. And but I can't imagine what it looks like on a walking model. It's almost this balloon-like structure around the shoulders. I don't know how this could work in real life. I wish there was a fabric that you could just sort of blow up, So I'm really curious.
Yeah. It's so amazing to have kind of all these like blow up parts of the garment, definitely.
So great. Imagine you're on the catwalk and then boom, all of a sudden.
Amazing. Or it could just be full of balloons, and then when you get to the end, you just let them all go.
Oh, I love it. But then your cape has no volume. Like, oh, surprise, I cheated. They were all balloons.
Definitely.
Oh gosh, yeah. Really looking forward to seeing it.
Me too. And it's been really nice to chat to you, and I hope everyone watching found it interesting. But
yes, likewise.
Yeah. And so the show is on the 27th at 6:15 British Standard Time, which is 8:15 Helsinki time, EST. So please tune in then to watch Catholic Fairy Tales, my first digitized fashion show.
So exciting.
Okay. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye-bye.